Hi, thanks for joining the channel. Hope everybody's having a nice new year. It's the beginning of 2025, and what I want to do in this video is to take a look at some of the recent thoughts and communications from some of the leadership at OpenAI, one of the leading companies in the AI industry, and see some of the things that are going on and what they're looking at for 2025. We're going to start taking a look at some of the messages coming from Sam Altman, who, if you don't know, is the CEO of OpenAI, creator of ChatGPT. And I think, interestingly, one of the messages he has here coming this week is insane thing. We're currently losing money on OpenAI Pro subscriptions. People use it much more than we expected. So, if you're not aware, the Pro subscription for OpenAI costs $200 at this time. This new mode for $200 for ChatGPT. This new mode for ChatGPT was, of course, released by OpenAI at the end of last year, around the holiday season, and provides substantial increased capabilities and allowances for using ChatGPT for that much higher subscription. And yet the company's still losing money on this. That's pretty remarkable to me. I think what I think about this, I think OpenAI and some of these other AI companies are still in this investigatory phase, this kind of experimental phase where they're trying to figure out where they can price some of these tools. What is the price that the market will bear? What will people pay for these tools to use them? What will companies pay? And I think we're going to gradually see or maybe not so gradual, we'll see the cost for some of these tools to continue to climb as they kind of arrive at that price point where people will still increase their usage of it, where that user base will increase. So they're losing money, and OpenAI is it's kind of a startup now. I mean, it was a research outfit, and now it's trying to become a for-profit organization. They're still losing money, but that growth is there. I mean, ChatGPT as an app has grown faster than any other type of product in the history of mankind. So I don't think they're so worried about that at the moment, but they're going to see possibly where they could adjust that pricing and still make profit. What else? The Sam Altman posted on his blog not too long ago some reflections on the year, on what OpenAI has been working on, some of the advancements in ChatGPT being out for 2 years now. Some of his comments, much farther down here, I thought are very notable. I want to highlight these. Sam says, "We are confident we know how to build AGI, artificial general intelligence. That's what AGI stands for. Build AGI as we have traditionally understood it. We believe that in 2025 we may see the first AI agents join the workforce and materially change the output of companies. We continue to believe that iteratively putting great tools in the hands of people leads to great, broadly distributed outcomes. We're beginning to turn our aim beyond that to superintelligence in the true sense of the word. We love our current products, but we're here for the glorious future. With superintelligence, we can do anything else. Superintelligent tools can massively accelerate scientific discovery and innovation well beyond what we are capable of doing on our own, and in turn, massively increase abundance and prosperity." So, Sam Altman, he's the CEO of OpenAI, so one might say that it's partly his job to increase hype and awareness of the products and services that OpenAI is putting out there and to increase enthusiasm for their work and their mission. So that's definitely on point here. But I really think it's interesting just to kind of dig into some of his thoughts on what they feel that they've accomplished and where they're going. So one, OpenAI is really putting out there, they feel like, they've figured out artificial general intelligence. That's a big deal. Um, I don't know if all the luminaries out there in the AI space would agree to that, but certainly the recent tools and advancements for some of these generative AI tools that have happened in the last year have been pretty groundbreaking and pretty incredible to behold, if not a little scary. But is it artificial general intelligence? Well, I think we'll wait to see, if there is some kind of consensus on that. But I think it's notable that he's pointing out that he's going to see the first AI agents join the workforce. I mean, were they going to get a W-2? That's a tax document in the U.S. I think we already are seeing that sort of thing. We look at like Agent Force that Salesforce.com has and what they're using to enhance sales capabilities. There's going to be more and more of that as some of these industry leaders in the tech space are putting out more and more products. I think the real bellwether in this case is going to be when there's retail-based AI agent tools available for the average person to use that starts transforming how they go about their day-to-day activities. That's when it's really going to be in people's faces. Now, just last year there was a very prominent sharing and display of how Apple Intelligence for iOS devices, your iPhones, things like that, MacBooks, whatnot, have that direct integration with ChatGPT. That's certainly going to put ChatGPT and these AI tools in a much bigger audience, in the hands of a much bigger audience. The next step there will be to see, when is the first real AI agent tools going to be in that audience's hands, and what can they do with it. Could be interesting. I mean, is the first time somebody that I know books a plane ticket without ever really going on their computer and just accepts it for what it is, tickets bought for them, organized for them, counters updated, and everything by an AI tool. That's when we know it's here. That's my opinion. So AI agents, that's what he's really thinking is happening. And then here's this big one here, superintelligence. So I've talked about in previous articles and videos the difference between artificial general intelligence and superintelligence. In very brief layman terms, artificial general intelligence is largely the idea of where an AI system is able to exceed human intelligence and capability across every level of activity, whether that's mathematics, language, historical knowledge, and that sort of intellect. Sure, just all these different broad range of subjects, right? And they think they've gotten there. Superintelligence is just an order of magnitude or multiple orders of magnitude higher in the level of capability. We're talking about the idea of the singularity. If you haven't heard of that, it's this concept of a point in time of human development, technological advancement, where the rate of technological discovery becomes imperceptibly instantaneous. It just rapidly increases and just pointed that everything is just kind of figured out, and humanity, society, everything just changes irrevocably. And the idea is, generally speaking, is that artificial intelligence is going to be a key component of how the singularity would be or could be reached. And according to Sam Altman here, they're now looking at trying to figure out how they reach superintelligence. That's pretty crazy. So I believe they're certainly looking at it from the standpoint of artificial intelligence. Artificial general intelligence is a stepping stone towards that. And a key component of that being a stepping stone is the idea that an artificial general intelligence being able to self-improve, being able to inspect its own code and capabilities and access to data and what it can do with those things, and identify ways that those systems could be improved, developing the improvements itself, and then potentially even deploying those set improvements to its own software. If you look at it from that standpoint, it can just continue to improve itself at a rate that a human workforce would not be able to keep up with. So that is what OpenAI is looking at. I think 2025 is going to be a pretty crazy year. If we look at this next one, Joshua Aicham, he is the head of alignment at OpenAI. And so that role, I would say, is largely probably about ensuring that all the various departments and internal leadership and groups and teams are all focused on the same mission. That might seem like maybe a silly thing. Like, is that really necessary? I mean, wouldn't a CEO be responsible for that? But CEOs do a lot of different things. Whether it's developing partnerships and relationships and public relations. It looks like Joshua's role here, in a general sense, is probably ensuring that across the company, the organization, everybody at OpenAI is focused on a unifying goal and are aligned in achieving their objectives. And he had some interesting things to say. So this is also coming out after a new year. his initial thoughts here is he doesn't think the world is really taking AI serious. The world isn't grappling enough with the seriousness of AI and how it will upend or negate a lot of the assumptions many seemingly robust equilibria are based upon. Um, I certainly agree with his sentiment that a lot of people in the world are not treating these advancements with AI technologies that we've seen in the last year very seriously. Certainly, a lot of people I know and care about and engage with a lot don't think about it a lot. Some of my colleagues and friends who are in more technology oriented industries certainly think about it and talk a lot more. But some other folks I know and family and friends that aren't in that kind of industry at all don't really talk about it much at all, other than just kind of idle curiosity, like, oh yeah, I tried out this thing with ChatGPT, it's pretty cool, you know. So yeah, I don't think it's really capturing a lot of people's attention, and my personal opinion is I suspect that that's probably the case because for a lot of people, it's just not really impacting their lives yet. It's more of a curiosity, like, oh, okay, so maybe it's a different way that I search for things on the internet instead of typing in Google or do a voice search with Google or something like that. I can just use a Chat GPT tool. Okay, cool, right? Um, Again, I think people are going to take it much more seriously when it starts impacting their daily lives. Right now, a lot of people, they're being impacted, if they're in the tech industry for sure, but you know, that, that's a smaller industry compared to others, like let's say construction or retail or, um, you know, food and hospitality, right? So anyway, so next here, domestic politics, international politics, market efficiency, the rate of change of technological progress, social graphs, the emotional dependency of people on other people. Certainly, those are all things even outside of just straight up economics from a job standpoint. Politics, um, market efficiency. Certainly, there's a lot of thought going into how are these AI tools going to impact financial markets and investing, social graphs, the emotional dependency of people on other people. That's definitely something that we want to get into here on this channel. It's one of the key things, a reason why I started this channel and this whole program, Sapiens Forward, is because I feel like there's going to be a lot of turmoil in the near future because of AI, and we all got to figure out like how do we live with that? How do we deal with this? Whether we use the tools ourselves or not, these tools, these systems, AI is going to impact us in some degrees positively and potentially, unfortunately, in a lot of ways negatively. And one of those areas where we're going to be impacted is how we interact with people, and maybe dare I say like people who we thought were people but are actually just AI. I mean, there's all kinds of things already where people, catfishing on dating apps and stuff like that. I feel like it's going to get even worse, but don't want to dwell on too much negativity. But yeah, I agree with this sentiment. How people interact with others and our emotional dependency on them, it's going to be impacted by these things. So next he goes, how we live, how healthy we are, our ability to use technology to change our own bodies and minds. Every single facet of the human experience is going to be impacted. So he's not pulling any punches. He's like, this is going to hit everything. And, I'm trying not to take this in the sense that, this is another marketing piece by OpenAI, but I certainly agree with his sentiment. I mean, I am just who I am, so it's no big deal. But, of all the research and that I do on a regular basis to understand what is going on with AI and what's being developed and what's out there, yeah, I mean, it does seem to me that yes, the human experience is going to be impacted in every way, shape, and form. Maybe not all at once, but the world we live in 10 years from now, I feel like it's going to look radically different. How healthy we are. Healthcare and the medical space and AI, that's definitely an area I want to get into more and talk more about. I think that's going to be changed quite a bit. Certainly in the United States. It might be different elsewhere around the world. How that is in Europe, many of the European countries have very well established socialized medical programs, and countries like Canada do as well. In the United States, it's largely privatized, right? And so how we procure, receive, and benefit or not from healthcare is very different in the United States than many other like very developed countries. And so I feel like AI is going to it's coming storming into the healthcare space in the United States, and that's going to catch people by surprise. And we'll see what happens there. continues, it is extremely strange to me that more people are not aware or interested or even fully believe in the kinds of changes that are likely to begin in this decade and continue well through the century. Yeah. I think it's kind of strange to me too that some folks don't take this more seriously, and I get it. I mean, there are a lot of I would call like AI bros out there. I don't know. I mean, I don't consider myself one. I mean, I look and think about I look into AI and I think about it a lot because I want to understand it. Like I've mentioned as part of this program and what I'm developing here and why I'm doing this with Sapiens Forward is I want to understand it so I can help shape my future in a way that I am impacted more positively than negatively by this stuff. And if I learn things that might be useful or valuable to people, I want to share that with others because I know in my heart that many people are going to be negatively impacted because they aren't taking this very seriously. They don't really believe that what's happening is happening. And I fear that so many people are going to be just caught behind, unaware of all this and not know what to do. So I share this sentiment, but it's certainly, I find it concerning that, an individual who is a very prominent leadership position at a company, organization that is at the forefront of development of AI technologies and tools is really worried that people aren't taking it seriously and really not realizing how much it's going to impact society. There are few people who understand or are able to be on the receiving end of information about what is the current state of the art with AI than people like this. So if they're at an organization that sees the current state of the art and the most technologically sophisticated AI tools as of this very day, and that's what they walk away with, that they're like, yes, this is going to change everything, and it's really worrying me that people out there don't know about it. I think that is even more worrying. We should be more concerned about that. He continues, it will not be an easy century. It will be a turbulent one. If we get it right, the joy, fulfillment, and prosperity will be unimaginable. We might fail to get it right if we don't approach the challenge head on. So this is definitely a sentiment that I think all of these major luminaries, or at least especially the ones that are really pushing and developing some of these AI tools, they put out there is like, hey, we should do this because we should develop these AI tools. We should do this because it's going to be great. There's going to be so much prosperity and abundance and fulfillment. And that's a nice thought. I think anybody who knows enough about AI to be worried, but not enough to really understand, exactly how this can play out, would probably think in a similar mind. It's like, yeah, I think that could be possible and that would be great. I think we're all thinking of this idea of the TV show Star Trek, this future where we have all this technology and there is not so much a struggle for just trying to exist on a daily basis, to have a place to live and to have food and make money, right? Because there's so much availability through technology that people just get the things they need. That would be amazing. I think we all would be in agreement that, yes, we want that. But will it happen? In this reality? Maybe. It's possible, right? One of the things I worry about is, in so many cases, we get these advancements in technology and there's ideas like, oh, everybody their standard of living is going up. Maybe in a relative sense, relative to what their standard of living was previously, sure, it goes up. But is it universal? Is it equitable across all bands of society? I'm not so sure. It doesn't really ever always play out that way, does it? Right? I think there's going to be a lot of abundance and prosperity and increase in wealth. But unfortunately, I feel it's very likely that in the next 10, 20 years, like a lot of that abundance and wealth will be, it will be accumulated and centralized in a smaller subset of the world population. And people who are already very wealthy and rich are going to get even richer. And that's kind of the way it's kind of always been, isn't it? So what, if we kind of take that kind of cynical outlook, really the question is like, how much can the quality of life increase for the average person? Will it be a net improvement for them with all of these changes in these tools, right? Or are they just slogging through life in a different way? And I hope, pray so much that it's not like that. Like, it really is abundance and prosperity for everyone. But I don't think we really can just sit back and just hope. And is why, again, why I look into these topics and I think about these things with AI all the time is because I think if we just sit back and hope for the best, we might be left behind, the average people in this world. So we really need to hold on and buckle up for this ride. So he continues. It feels outside of the Overton window right now to suggest that so much change could happen very quickly, or even to realistically grapple with what those changes might entail. It is too easy to say the present is more urgent and more real. So, Overton window, what is that? I mean, it's a topic around like ideas in society with, how well they are centered with what is currently deemed acceptable. So yeah, I mean, I think, kind of in line with the idea that not a lot of people are paying attention to this. It's not very important. It doesn't really seem to me that general society is really ready to embrace the idea that AI is coming slow but fast, and things are going to start changing. There's changes that are already happening it's just not really reaching the level of the zeitgeist. People just, the average people don't. It doesn't impact their lives yet. But very soon it will. I mean, with everything else in the news, with drones and flying objects, it's like, what's going to happen first? Artificial general intelligence or aliens are real. And it's been a crazy year. So, continuing on, he says, nonetheless, change is coming. It will be reflected first in the prices of goods and labor. It will force changes in strategy in businesses, institutions of all kinds, and countries. So he said something really monumental here in this, and just kind of like a very subdued way. He said it will be reflected first in the prices of goods and labor. For people who are at the top of the pyramid, people who own companies or dominate industries, who are already incredibly wealthy, thinking about the prices of goods and labor is just, for them, it's probably like, just think about, what do we need from the grocery store? What is the price of a box of cereal today, right? But if you really break that down, we're talking about the prices of goods and labor, we're talking about how much everyday people, what we get paid to do a job, our employment, right? And if you think about some of these luminaries in the AI space, they talk about it in such an abstracted, passive way. It's just a factor to be involved with. But this is people's lives, their livelihood, the ability to make money, to be able to keep a roof over their heads, to buy food, to go to school, all kinds of stuff, right? And it's going to be one of the biggest change for us is how that's impacted. Labor markets, various industries. And what I think about that in the short term, I mean, certain industries are going to be impacted by AI more prominently, more viscerally, more immediately, and some of that's, it's going to be driving down the cost of labor. And that ultimately means that people will get laid off. They'll lose their jobs. Companies will use AI tools instead of people, or they won't hire as many people because they don't need as many people to do the same amount of jobs if the amount of workers they have now are augmented by AI. One way or another, it's going to have pressure on wage growth. If in an industry they have plenty of people that they need to do the work that needs to be done to create value for the company and to create revenue, there's not as much competition for labor, and so you don't have as much competitive negotiating power as a worker to get higher wages. So, I mean, theoretically, that's one of those things coming, but more than just that. I mean, certain industries are just going to be potentially just completely eviscerated. Right now, I'd be incredibly concerned to be in digital media and digital marketing space and what is happening there. How is that going to change? So much turmoil, and we'll probably talk about it more in future videos and such. All right, so let's just keep going here and wrap up his thoughts. He continues, then it will force changes in philosophy. What are we here for? Why do we do the things we do? If everything we care about is automatable, what is our role in the world? This is one of those topics that is above and beyond just the more day-to-day, like, hey, how do I keep a job? I'm competing with AI. It's more like, what is my purpose in life? And that's also one of these topics of reasons why I develop, this program, this channel, and what I want to talk about is happiness. Like, how do we attain happiness in the age of AI when our employment, our job, our vocation, what we do for a living, how we take care of our families is totally upended and in question. If that gave you purpose and those things change so irrevocably in how they factor into your life, then how are you finding purpose then? I mean, I think some folks would be rather glib about that and say, well, I would just do whatever I want. I watch TV all day, I travel, I do this, and that's great. But oftentimes people think those things within the context of how that's not actually going to happen. Maybe if they get to retire, but then they've already worked their whole lives. But so many people are still unhappy in retirement, right? They don't know what to do with themselves. What if so many of the people in the world were put on sudden forced retirement, in a sense? AI does everything. I don't think that's going to be happening soon. Years? Decades away, maybe? It'd be crazy to think about. But there may be some people who are at the cusp of retirement, or they're maybe in their late 50s, that sort of thing. They may actually be in that realm of forced retirement. I mean, massive industrial upheavals, recessions, and then layoffs occur, like when the tech industry has happened in the last 6 months or so in the United States. There's some folks who lost their jobs and now they're thinking, maybe early retirement. There's a lot of potential for that to hit other industries with the disruption that we're bound to see because of AI. And what does that mean for people? Like, what do we do with our lives? It's crazy enough. I think it's an actually legitimate point of discussion and topic, and we need to think about it as, what do we do with ourselves if there really isn't much actual employment work to do? What do we do with all that free time in a way that enriches our lives, helps us be happy and enjoy our families rather than just fall into some kind of spiral of hedonism? But it's probably a problem for a different day. But I think it's something it's worth thinking about now. But more immediate problems are probably like, what do we do if whole industries are just automated away, while other people are still working? What do those people do? What do they train into? What should you train into now with AI coming? What is safe? So more topics to come. He wraps up here. We'll have to tell a new story for a new age. Some of the timeless stories, how we are driven by curiosity, by love, by the human spirit, will remain unchanged, but everything else will be replaced by questions that need new answers. I don't know what the future will bring, but my enduring belief is that humanity is beautiful, flaws and all, and the future we build should somehow cherish the human heart. Well, certainly it's a beautiful sentiment. I like his thoughts on that and how he feels about it. But I think reading between the lines through much of these statements, from these people like Sam Altman here and Joshua, I think people need to pay attention. There's a lot of big things coming. I think 2025 is going to be an even bigger year than 2024 for AI. I think it's highly likely that the idea that artificial general intelligence has been achieved is going to be more prominent in the news. And then smaller scale AI systems like agent tools are going to start proliferating at some point, and we get our first attempts to try and see how they fit into our daily lives. And then from there, it's just going to start escalating. Once people start thinking, hey, I just used a tool to do all these things, that's insane. Yeah, it is insane. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you're paying attention to all these news items on some of these luminaries in the AI space. If you're not, feel free to follow this channel, like and subscribe. This is the kind of stuff I'm going to be talking about on a regular basis. I hope you have a great new year, and I hope to see you at the next one. Thanks.